So luckily there's a very conveniently placed barrel here that you just shoot the wagon. If you wait until the enemies start moving, you tend to not get as many of them, so I recommend shooting it immediately, and you should only have to deal with 2. So as you can see, that was a classic headshot right there. You want to keep that blade very far away from yourself and Ashley. Unfortunately, she's right in front of me, so that blade, if it strikes me, will probably kill her. I'm getting a bit lucky here with the staggering going backwards instead of falling towards me, but just keep this guy at a very safe distance. Take your time. So, not many people know this, but you can actually go back in the church and attack the zealots that fired the crossbows at you. This fight can be kind of difficult. These guys are both very tanky, but you do get a nice little money reward if you do this. One of the things about the zealots is that if you shoot them in the knee and they drop, you're able to do the suplex on them. This is not able to be done on the Ganados, but can be done on the eventual soldiers, but also on the zealots. So then you get 5,000 pesetas. If you're feeling a bit uncomfortable about that fight, you can use a flash grenade to stun them and then just get them one by one. However, even on professional, I think it's not too bad to just try and separate each one and then get them one by one. I recommend going for either the suplex or a roundhouse kick on the left one first, and then just dealing away with the right one on the right hand side and then finishing the one on the left.
Welcome. Got some rare things. What are you buying?
Okay, so the Red 9. The Red 9 is easily the most powerful handgun in the game. It's used by a majority of people I've seen play this game. It has the most firepower. In my opinion, it's not the most fun to use. In the North American GameCube release of this game, it ended up having an exclusive firepower of 5.0, which is 1.0 over what the default shotgun is, which is a colossal amount of damage. Somehow this wasn't quite enough for Capcom, and they decided that in the PAL release and in every subsequent port, whether it be the PC, the PS2, or the Wii, they increased this to 6.5. 6.5 is just a ton of damage. It just renders most of the enemies kind of useless. In my opinion, it makes the game a bit too easy. I prefer the feel of regular handguns compared to the Red 9, especially the Red 9 with the stock. And I prefer the strategic lining up and the crowd control of the Punisher, which is why it's always been my favorite. So I will not be using the Red 9 through the playthrough. If pure power is something that you're interested in, then the Red 9 can definitely be for you. You can kind of hear that slicing sound. That means that the bullet is penetrating 2 enemies at once. I'm super excited to eventually get to the exclusive upgrade where this thing can fire through 5 people at once. This does have the least amount of power in the entire game, but I just think it's the most fun to use. The best handling handgun, in my opinion, is the Blacktail, which is what Leon has in the Mercenaries mode. You can't get this until later on in the castle section, but it's a really good handgun, which has the fastest rate of fire, along with the Matilda, which you can't unlock until you beat the game already once. So, if you see those boxes there, what you want to do is have Ashley hide, and have her hide until you defeat all the enemies. I actually got a game over here because unfortunately I was working with Ashley and one of the blade plagas just tended to come out of nowhere and just kill her immediately. Focus on lining up all the enemies here in the hallway. Very fortunate that I was able to get that plaga down in one go. You do want to get most of the bear traps. Ashley's AI tracking in terms of where she follows you is actually not too bad, but you just don't want to have to risk to get her out of a bear trap. All this stuff respawns in terms of the barrel and the cupboards. You can open them and get more items. Just do that before going upstairs. There's going to be 2 enemies at the top of the stairs. Excuse me, top of the ladder. Again, I was too greedy and tried to go for the kick. I just have to learn my lesson to just not go for the kick if I'm over a wall or any kind of barrier. It's just so tempting, but it just never works out in my favor. Again, just a very good example of how the plaga can move independent of the body staggering. Keep it at a very safe distance. It can be quite a handful to deal with, especially if you ever have Ashley. Luckily, you never really need to face too many plagas with Ashley until you get to the island, but it still can be difficult, especially in the later part of the village as it is here.
I opened it, Leon.
Okay, so this part coming up is this cabin gauntlet of just a bunch of enemies. I would say it's about as difficult as the villages in the beginning part of the game, if not more so. It's very easy to die here on professional quite a bit, but I do have some strategies after dying quite a few times in previous years that seem to be fairly consistent.
What are you buying? Come back anytime.
Maxed out on everything I have in my inventory, so the best thing I can do is just hope that it works out.
Leon, I have some bad news.
I'd rather not hear it.
Well, I'm afraid I have to tell you anyway. We've lost contact with the chopper. Someone must have shot it down, though we can't determine who.
Great.
We're prepping another chopper for you. Meanwhile, I want you to head towards the extraction point.
Got it.
What are we gonna do, Leon?
Hate to say it, but we're sandwiched all right. Quick, In that cabin!
Leon! Small world, eh? Well, I see that the president's equipped his daughter with ballistics, too.
How rude! And I don't believe there's any relevance with my figure and my standing. Who are you?
Oh, excuse me, Your Highness. Perhaps the young lady might want to introduce herself first before asking someone his name.
Her name's Ashley Graham, the president's daughter.
Is she... well, you know.
Don't worry. She's cool.
Never mind. There's supposed to be some kind of obvious symptom before you turn into one of them anyway.
Look!
Ashley, upstairs!
Okay, it's game time.
So the first thing you want to do is push the cabinets in front of the windows and just buy yourself as much time as possible to get all the items around the cabin. All these are fixed spawns, they'll always be here. I tend to always not have enough inventory spots for all the grenades that are littered around the house, but you might have some. Now, unlike Sheva in Resident Evil 5, Lewis is actually extremely good in this fight. He has the red 9, it has great knockback on different enemies, and he's able to just really help out when you need to. So what you end up wanting to do is stand right here at the top of the stairs, even a bit further down from it. For the first part of this gauntlet, the enemies will not come through the top floor, they'll only come through the bottom. Generally, Lewis can handle most of them, but you're going to see about like 5 or 6 of them come screeching around the corner and just go at you. Now, the easiest way to die from this fight is by far the bladed plagas. They, as I mentioned in many of my other videos and demonstrated, they're independent of the body's stagger animation, and their reach is extremely long. They can hit through the guard railing as they come up the stairs and hit you from almost underneath. So what I tend to do here is just take no chances. I think I might end up using a flash grenade to get rid of them, but luckily Lewis got that one right there. If you see a plaga, pull out your shotgun and just give yourself some space. It's not worth it trying to either kick them or aim for other ones. So as Lewis comes up the stairs here, this signals that there's the second part of the fight. And what this means is that enemies are going to be coming from both directions. They're going to be coming from downstairs and they're going to be coming from upstairs. Don't worry about guns and ammo at this point. It's much better to survive than get killed. I tend to clear out the bottom here while Lewis handles the top as the first couple Ganados come up the ladder. But eventually what you want to do is get to the top and start pushing down the ladders. Now, that one's like okay, but the two you want to focus on are the ones here and the one to the left. If you are able to get that done well, then the Ganados will still come through the window, but also up the stairs. This is the best circumstance because because Lewis is just a really good shot, and where he's standing, it's very easy to have him cover you and just focus on pushing down the ladders while he does a majority of the work. He has infinite ammo here. Just don't worry about it.
Leon, are you okay?
This fight's actually going really well. A lot of it really depends on it snowballing out of control. As long as you're able to keep the ladders down and focus on getting everyone coming up the stairs, it's fairly straightforward in order to be able to have success in this gauntlet.
Use this.
Looks like they're backing off.
So, what do we do now?
The bridge I crossed to get here's out, so I guess we have no choice but to keep moving.
I forgot something. You guys go on ahead.
Lewis,
And congrats, that's chapter 2-2.